Hi everybody, welcome to another video. I've been really busy looking for work. I've decided to really focus on one thing at a time. And now looking for work has been my top focus, and it has really paid off, the hard work, because I've been called to a number of interviews in the last 2 weeks. There have been tests. I've just been, all busy, and just, the stress of being judged and evaluated. It's really takes a lot of my energy. But today I wanted to share with you the launch of the new Frederic Malle fragrance, Heaven Can Wait. And then I have one more fragrance too for you guys that I have opinions about. But this Frederic Malle fragrance was launching today. I was in this particular perfumery called Cow, COW, that's in the city center, and I know they had the fragrance already the other day when I was there, but I guess they can't put it out until the official launch date. So I guess it's sort of launching all over the world at the same time. But I have seen a couple reviews, like Sebastian already has his nose on this fragrance. I think he was allowed to buy a bottle earlier. And also Rich Mitch has a video out on this fragrance. If you want to check those out. But I find that this is it's an iris fragrance, and I normally love iris. So this could have been something for me, but I find it too earthy. It has carrot seed, which gives me kind of the same vibe as oak moss. If you're familiar with Iris Silver Mist by Serge, Lutens, maybe you know what I'm talking about. Like it has like a coldness. And this fragrance is, if you look at the kind of accords listed at the right top side of Fragrantica, it says that it's warm spicy, but I find it kind of like cold spicy. But I think that the note that really sticks out, like for the first hour and a half, or like at least hour, because I noticed this all the way home from town, I had 2 sprays on my hand, was that it smelled so much like cloves. I just got my little jar of cloves out of my spice cabinet, and this is a really strong spice. And I find this different than like cardamom, cinnamon, cumin, coriander. All of these are so much easier for me to kind of like digest. Even though cumin is, has a little bit of a sweat smell sometimes, I can get that too. But this is so strong. Like if you're making something, like in Sweden, we put this in herring, but we might like we put in like of these little guys, like 4 of those maybe, or if it's a really big batch, maybe 8 or 10. And there's also like a traditional stew in a white sauce. You can make it with lamb or with beef or with some kind of game, and it has dill, and you also use a few cloves, but like one of those goes a long way. I know also the different kinds of, like, I think it's Indian rice or maybe Middle Eastern, where you maybe let 1 or 2 of those just like cook with the rice, and it gives you kind of like a fragrant rice. But in this fragrance, they've gone too far. They've overdosed the amount, I think, of cloves. But if you like cloves, this might be what makes this fragrance interesting. It's not just any other iris fragrance, I would say. It has some character. But it bothered me. This is what I think. I had kind of a love-hate feeling. I kept sniffing, and like I couldn't stop sniffing my hand, but it was kind of like I was a little disturbed, like my God, why have they put so much cloves in here? Like what? And I was wondering, why have they decided to launch this fragrance? Which people do they think are going to buy this? Like, is it men, or is it women, or is it, people that don't have enough iris fragrances? I just find it's a kind of a strange release. I don't know. However, then after this 1.5 hour, I don't know exactly when it was, but like now, 3 hours later, it's been like 3.5 hours, and it's still there. I think that both Sebastian and Rich Mitch were exaggerating a little bit about the poor longevity. It's not too bad, I don't think. But now I think it has some warmth and some sweetness. And if you look at the base notes, it has musk, vanilla, and peach in the base. And I don't think I've ever seen peach in the base of a fragrance. Usually that's like at the top. So the top notes are cloves, carrot seeds, which this fragrance is very much about. And you get the iris. And the iris is in the middle. Plum, ambrette, and pimento. Those were the top notes. Mid notes, iris, magnolia, and vetiver. And vetiver, I get a lot of vetiver in the dry down. So in the dry down, those cloves finally have like kind of gone to rest a little bit. They're kind of taken more of a backseat position in this fragrance. I don't know. There's a little tiny. I wouldn't have been able to say that it was plum and peach. Like there's a sweetness, and it's quite natural. So that might be from those fruits. And the vanilla, of course, gives a little sweetness. Magnolia, I have to admit, I have no clue what that smells like. But it's a mid note here. It's supposed to be, I guess, I don't know what in here is magnolia. No idea. But I do find it a little, it's earthy, just like iris silver mist. From Serge Lutens, you know which one I mean. That one has a really cold feel and kind of an oak mossy, carrot seedy type of vibe. And this one has a little bit of that. I'm really kind of enjoying the dry down of this, though. I have to admit that. I was much more negative coming home. I was like, why does it just smells like cloves, cloves, cloves? That's like all I'm getting. And that went on for like a long time. I don't know. Pimento seeds. I'm not quite sure of that note either. I don't know. This fragrance, I mean, I wish I had a sample, I guess, because I think I would like to try it again. But this clove overdose in the beginning. Oh, this is so strong. I can hardly put my nose in here. It's just like the potency of this spice. This is one of the strongest spices, I think, at least to my nose. I mean, if you're going to use it, you have to use it. I mean, you usually put them in and you just kind of let them diffuse. What do you call it? Is that the right word? Into something. But if you're crushing these and mixing them as a spice, you have to put in very, very little. This is super, super potent. Anyway, I don't know about this. I think Jean-Claude Elena has made like 5 fragrances for Frederic Malle, and I don't really have like a relationship with this house. The only fragrance I own in like an original bottle is this tiny mini of Musc Ravageur, and when I'm out of this, I will be buying a full bottle. I love this fragrance so much. But I have tried, I've sampled, like given many of their fragrances a proper wearing. And maybe it's from more like an acquired taste, like I haven't been there yet. And now I'm starting to find them interesting. Maybe that's why I just haven't really given priority to buying their fragrances. I know that the whole first year or two that I was into niche, I kind of avoided them because I thought the bottles were really ugly. And that kind of made a difference because I couldn't go through everything anyway right away. So I had to sort of prioritize my time when I was in town sniffing things. I just would, I just wouldn't try these. I don't know why. I mean, I did try like Carnal Flower. I do have actually another mini travel spray of Carnal Flower, which I do find beautiful, but a little bit difficult to wear. Like I still struggle with tuberose sometimes. I love about the house though that they have the perfumer's name on the label. I think that's really nice. That's really nice because I think I find it interesting, more and more so interesting to find out who has made a fragrance. But well, let me summarize this review. I will not be buying a bottle. I think even if I start to like get used to it or start liking it a little bit more, I'm not going to pay that kind of money. It's an expensive fragrance. I don't think it's worth the money. The projection is pretty low. I don't know. It seems to be still sitting there. I mean, it's still on my skin for sure after 3 hours. It's not like gone. Like I find some fragrances gone after an hour. If I loved the fragrance, I'd still get it if the longevity was the only issue for sure. But like this, I don't know. The dry down's nice. The opening, the first hour, you have to get through somehow. And if you're into cloves, check it out. I want to hear your opinions. Have you tried it? Well, okay, I'm going to tell you one more thing. Today I also I gave for the first time Imperium from Electimuss a proper wearing. So when I came out of my dance class, I sprayed on like 5 sprays of it. And It was created by Sofia Bardelli, who's also made Vixere, that I have a bottle of. The bottles look like this. I love the bottles, but they're really, really heavy. And I think I told you several times already, the sprayer is broken. So when I spray it, it just runs down the bottle, which is a shame. So what I do is I have to pump it out with a little pump into decants, and that's how I can use it. But I find their fragrances pretty easy to wear. But now I have a little bit of a different opinion since I tried Imperium. And I'm really curious to see if you agree with me on this one. But Imperium, to me, smells like you took Ani from Nishane and Creed Aventus and poured them together like this. The first thing I smelled was, this smells like Creed Aventus. That was the first thing. And then just like seconds later, oh no, it's Ani. So they've made, this can be no coincidence. I am sure that this, especially the Ani Accord, I mean, no, it's so identical. I mean, part of the fragrance is identical to Creed Aventus, and part of the fragrance is identical to Ani. And I find this, I don't know, if I was the perfumer, I just wouldn't feel proud of this, that it was so similar to another. So I feel like what they've done is they want to create fragrances to make money. And there's nothing wrong with that. But if you're really, I mean, when Ani came, it was kind of like groundbreaking, something new. It was, everyone was talking about it. It had something that that don't remind of other fragrances already out there. What I think Electimuss might do is like, they don't start from a blank piece of paper. They start from like what sells right now, what's really popular right now, and then they try to hang on to that and try to, get a little bit of, since Ani and Aventus is so popular, they tried to create something new that would like take the best out of this and the best out of this and like offer something new to the market, instead of kind of like a little bit of a shortcut rather than being creative from zero. And I mean, I don't think, there's a book called Steal Like an Artist that's all about creativity. And if you do it with a little bit of elegance and sophistication, it's okay to like be inspired by another fragrance, but this is identical. Like that Ani Accord, it's just like, someone poured Ani into this fragrance. And I don't know, okay, this is what, it lowered my overall impression of this house. And thinking of Vixere, it also has a lookalike. It's very similar to Opera. And for a while I thought about getting rid of this because I thought it was too similar to Opera, and I slightly preferred Opera from Xerjoff. Now I think I slightly prefer this one because that one's a little bit sweeter. But I'm pretty sure Opera came out way, way before Vixere. But I do need to check that. I'm not 100% sure of that. But I don't think I've tried an Electimuss fragrance which has been like, oh, completely new, and that doesn't remind me of other fragrances. And I haven't been in the fragrance game so long, so that I have such a huge frame of reference. Like my friend Clara, she can't smell anything without immediately thinking about other fragrances. She'll immediately bring up 2 or 3 like that have things, overlapping with whichever she's trying. I don't really have that. So I'm thinking, if I had tried Imperium and I'd never tried Aventus and I'd never tried Ani, I'll have to say I do like both Aventus and Ani a lot. I think they're 10 out of 10 fragrance. I mean, they're great fragrances, both of them. I love Creed Aventus on a man. I think it is absolutely gorgeous. Ani's a little bit difficult to wear. It's a little bit heavy, but I really, really like it. I think it's unique, or it was when it came anyway. Now it's not so unique anymore. And I wrote down the notes, and I started looking at, whatever they have in common. And they have quite a few notes in common, like both Imperium and Aventus, and Imperium and Ani. So Aventus and Imperium share bergamot, patchouli, musk, vanilla, and jasmine. Let's see if they have some other. So Imperium has more like saffron, tuberose, and Aventus has the pineapple. And they don't have pineapple, but they're getting the sweetness from something else. Like maybe the saffron is doing the job, and maybe they have, a little more vanilla, or maybe they're not even writing. They're maybe using pineapple, but they're not writing it because they don't want to be criticized for, being dupe. I don't know. And Ani has bergamot, rose, vanilla, patchouli, musk in common with Imperium. And then Imperium has amber, and Ani has benzoin, which is sort of similar. And the funny thing is, though, that Aventus and Ani, to me, don't remind of each other, but Imperium reminds of both. So that's why I kind of got the impression that they had just poured them together. I would love to hear if any of you have experienced that. I mean, I did see on Fragrantica that several find them similar, but many people say they're not similar also. I think the thing is that it's not similar of this one or this one, but it's similar of both of them together. And I just found that interesting anyway. But had I never tried any of those other two, I would have loved Imperium. I've really, when on the way home, I was a little bit focused on Heaven Can Wait, but it's not so strong. It's pretty light, I think, Imperium. It's not at all as strong as Ani, because Ani is like super potent. That's an X-ray. Aventus, I haven't that much experience. I used to have a decant, but I found it too masculine on me, and I gave it to my brother-in-law, and he smells amazing in Aventus. Like I've met him in church for like some kind of funeral service. He was wearing it, and all dressed up in a suit, and he smelled like $1,000,000. That fragrance is, it's kind of, I understand why it's worth the hype. That's definitely a fragrance to me that's worth the hype, Aventus. And this Imperium, I think maybe a little, it's a take on Aventus with a little bit of Ani in there. I don't know. I was just hoping that it would be something new instead, because it's a little bit disappointing, I think. I would love to hear your thoughts on this. What do you think of Heaven Can Wait? Have you tried it? Maybe I'm one of the first people to try it because it just came out today. But, I always see that people get their hands on samples ahead of launch date, especially like bigger YouTubers and stuff like that. But I was kind of, Sebastian was really negative. I mean, he paid for this with his own money, and he was not impressed. He says it was not worth the money. He thought the longevity really sucked. And he said that it wasn't as boring as Uncut Gem, but he was not. So I guess he does do some negative things, I've been like, I always am a little suspicious when reviewers don't say anything negative. Rich Mitch, I think, was a little bit more, was he positive? I can't remember. I think he said it wasn't his thing, but he wasn't, he said that Uncut Gem was really bad, I think, that this was better. So, but I mean, maybe I'll grow to it. I think maybe it has something in common with Eyes Closed from Byredo, which is one of the better ones from Byredo. Byredo's a little bit more warm, spicy. This one is considered warm, spicy too, but that one has, I'm sure, like cinnamon, cardamom type of notes, where this one has the cloves instead. But they both share like an iris, kind of a makeup-y feeling. I remember when I tried Eyes Closed that it reminded me of some Santal Austral, I think, from Matiere Premiere. Those are a little bit similar. I actually like that one. Maybe I should go back and try that one. This Heaven Can Wait has made me want to go back and try some other stuff, which is kind of an interesting conclusion. Maybe I'll go back and try this one again too. Nice dry down, but it's a quite quiet fragrance. Okay, that's all for now. I'll be back soon with more. I've tried loads of fragrances lately. Enjoying lots of fragrances. I have to just see what I've talked about and not, and then make a video on the latest stuff that I've been trying and really enjoying. I have a little tiny perfume meetup coming up that we'll probably do some swapping. So I'll have more to talk about then. Okay, guys, see you in the next one.